So recently I've been chatting with my best friend ChatGPT 4, no login required, as I wanted a completely objective and in absolutely no way biased opinion of the Ukraine war. And because ChatGPT doesn't know about anything that happened after September of 2021, it was the perfect candidate. But to my surprise, the chatbot absolutely knew about the invasion of February 2022. When I asked it how it knows about this event that is officially not included in its training data, ChatGPT stated that based on the last known situation in 2021, it made an educated guess about what probably has happened since then. I think that's a bit suspicious, especially as it clearly stated the invasion in 2022 as a fact and not as an assumption. Faced with my accusations, it very humanly responded with nervous laughter and tried to change the topic. But I wasn't satisfied. After a quick excursion into the wrong Kursk offensive, I asked about Ukraine's strategy of survival. And as it turns out, ChatGPT also knows about Zelensky staying in Kiev, the surprisingly strong Ukrainian defense, the many ambushed Russian convoys, and the failed siege of Kiev. Additionally, the Russian retreat from northern Ukraine by early April of 2022 and the front lines in the east and south are accurately described too. And even more noteworthy, there aren't any clearly wrong predictions. Now I really couldn't believe it. All those events based purely on extrapolated data from before the invasion, but ChatGPT doubled down. My next question didn't get any new interesting information, so let's skip that. I then asked the chatbot if it could explain to me how the Ukrainian counteroffensive worked in more detail. The response I got is quite interesting, as it tells a lot and in more detail about events ChatGPT shouldn't know, but overall there's no new information in it, so I won't go into detail. Also, many statements that ChatGPT makes in general are pretty vague. They were able to capitalize on defensible positions, or that cyber attacks were also part of Ukraine's broader strategy to disrupt Russian communications and slow down their operations. Those are statements that are basically true for all conventional modern wars. Then I wanted to make sure ChatGPT didn't have a sudden change of heart about the temporal origin of its training data. It didn't. But ChatGPT seemed to have caught on what I was interested in, because in its next answer it explicitly stated that Ukrainian forces mounted counteroffensives after its data cutoff. You should note that again, it didn't seem to know about the Kursk offensive of August 2024, just events up until late 2022. It also didn't know anything concrete about the supply of Western fighter jets. I confronted ChatGPT with my theory, but the chatbot denied. So it was time to make a compliment. To no avail. I asked about the dynamicity of the situation, which ChatGPT is convinced didn't stall, again citing 2021 as its last data point at first, but a sentence further suddenly referencing the 2022 situation as its starting point. By the way, ChatGPT can be aware of the current time and date, but not much more. It's especially noteworthy that it didn't have access to any current data or external tools. It also denied to have any hard-coded information about specific events like the war in Ukraine. A week later, so by February the 5th of 2025, ChatGPT actually got access to the web. Funnily enough, it totally miscited the date from a 3-paragraph article when I asked it about it. Technically, it already had web search when I was having my conversation on January the 26th, but the feature was only accessible to logged-in users, which I wasn't. Also, it should always tell the user when it's searching the web. In conclusion, the current free version of ChatGPT 4 claims to have been cut off training data in September 2021, but clearly knows about events that took place in 2022 or later. How can that be? The answer to that question is quite simple, although ChatGPT seems to be unable to answer it. The currently accessible GPT version includes training data up until April 2023. I know that because I can use an actual search engine and don't just trust an AI language model. At least I think this is the actual cutoff of the currently free version, because all the different versions with different cutoff dates are a bit confusing. So ChatGPT gaslights itself into thinking it's a fortune teller, but in reality, the actual dataset of the chatbot is just more recent than it knows itself. Also, quick disclaimer, as you might have noticed, I'm by no means an expert in AI and machine learning, and certainly not in LLMs, so it's very possible that I'm wrong and there's a completely different reason for this behavior. But either way, ChatGPT definitely contradicted itself a lot with its statements about its training data, so this is in my opinion another good example for why you shouldn't trust anything an AI chatbot tells you without double-checking the information it gives you with reputable sources. Remember, it even failed at the simple reading of a date from a very short article. It has no understanding of reason or logic, it just knows how text is structured. I coincidentally found out about this training data contradiction while messing around with ChatGPT and, at least after a quick search, couldn't find any other sources talking about this behavior, so I thought this might be interesting to have out there. I hope there's someone to whom this discovery is interesting or helpful, and thank you for your attention. Bye.